Saigon, the Yard Father, is back with what feels like a comeback album. Now, I know technically he hasn't been away for that long, but this just feels like he's back in a bigger way with a lot to say. What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtapemaf. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button. Also, subscribe if you haven't. But today, I'm going to hit y'all with my thoughts on this new one from Saigon, produced by Buckwild, entitled Paint the World Black. So, Saigon is a veteran Brooklyn MC who had a big buzz in the mid-2000s. You may remember mixtapes like The Yardfather, Warning Shots. I mean, there was a time when Saigon had the mixtape game on lock. Also, there was the Def Jam, Just Blaze, Cosigns, and a lot of hype surrounding his debut album, The Greatest Story Never Told. Now, unfortunately, that did not drop until much later in 2011 when the buzz got a little cold. As a result, Saigon never, unfortunately, got to live up to his full mainstream potential. But despite those setbacks, Saigon was one of the most talked about newer street artists in the mid to late 2000s. Now, after a hiatus, he did jump back into the music game during the pandemic era, and truthfully, I didn't get a chance to really check out those albums like I probably should have, but I do know last year he had the Jordan Era project produced by Fredro, not to be confused by Fredro Starr. But now Saigidi is back with Buckwild, the legendary producer of DITC fame, and one of the main reasons I had the urge to check out this project was because Buckwild's name was attached. And that's not to say that I don't care for Saigon releases on their own, but when Buckwild accompanies Saigon, it's just a little more interesting. The two have collaborated before, but not for a full-length project until now, and this contains 17 songs lasting approximately 50 minutes. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track-by-track breakdown. The opener, Over the Breaks, is just a cinematic introduction into the first actual song, Yard Father Part 1. Now, this is set to some suspenseful strings. The instrumental does give off that blaxploitation, maybe 1970s gangster in a pool hall feel. It's one of the harder songs, and Saigon is flexing his hunger, really gliding over this Buckwild production, reintroducing himself and just restoring that feeling. Now, there is a K Dot and Drake line as well. If the K dot your head, you probably got way too drizzy. This is followed up by the Dear God skit that leads us right into Right Back, Hear Me Now, where Saigon gets a little spiritual, pouring out his pain to God and also speaking on what's wrong with the rap game and how rappers are continuously misleading the youth. And it's done over a dramatic soul sample that was dope. He also has some heartfelt lines. We need some love below because what's coming out the speaker box got our kids wildin', and that's the reason I need the Glock. This blends right into Well Wishes, which has some warm gospel layered production and some very soothing R&B vocals on the hook. Overall, it's a very smooth track for Saigon to get a little philosophical and to talk about his desire or wishes to make a difference in the game and just to unify the culture as a whole. This is followed up by the Meet Raymond Riches, the Fame and Riches skit, which introduces the character that's supposed to represent greed in the record business. As a skit, it's all right, but I think the length could have been reduced just a bit, and as a whole, it was probably just a little bit too on the nose. Right after is the very thoughtful track, Who's for the Young, which is set to some dusty gospel chops, and there is something about the beat that did feel like it could have been produced by Pete Rock for maybe Common. It's kind of giving off those auditorium vibes. Once more, Saigon is advocating for the youth, promoting positivity and encouraging kids to not be so focused on brand names. But there are some parts to this track where he does come across as a tad bit judgmental or preachy, but overall, positive message throughout. And this bleeds smoothly into My Child, which has a moody rock-like sample that was pretty solid. And for this one, Saigon reflects once more on the troubling state of our youth, and you're getting a lot more of that social commentary. Right after is the highlight, No Witness, featuring Benny the Butcher. Now, this has one of the grittier instrumentals. I like the soul and flute sample, definitely slap. And while Saigon did his thing here, it was Benny who was the standout. Now, I believe this was recorded a few years back, but it's still one of the harder songs on the project as far as like a banger is concerned. Immediately after is another strong one, 2000 Now, Crowd Goes Wild. And this has a very definitive, almost vintage Buckwild boom bap beat that's still on the ethereal side, and Saigon is rapping with such urgency and aggression here, and this beat just screams Buckwild. It's almost like something he may have had in the vaults for some time. Things then mellow out a bit on the single Toxic Love Story. Now, this contains the same sample you may remember Ali Vegas used for Theme in New York, and that really takes you back. And this track as a whole just kind of captures the essence of that rap R&B crossover flavor that you would have in the mid 2000s. And I think Saigon executed this well. It's smooth, and it does show that Saigon hasn't lost a step as far as making tracks of this nature. Following this is the very chill 187.4 FM intermission, and this does just pay homage to some of the West Coast radio skits from that Death Row era. And it does transition into another very soulful, almost grown man sounding track, Bare Necessities. I did like the pretty lush R&B hook here. Initially, this song wasn't hitting for me, but after a few listens, it made sense and it grew on me. However, right after is the high point. Dying Never Goes Out of Style, and that's a really interesting title, by the way. And this features Duffel Bag Ran. I do like the fly bluesy production. It's almost like you're in a dimly lit smoky bar in the deep south, or maybe somewhere in the Midwest. That was just the flavor I was getting. Had a little bit of that country rap tunes feel. And on this record, you are getting some dope, hard-hitting lyricism from both Ran and Saigon. Ransom was providing some of those infinite jewels. Then there's track 15, Let's Talk About Love, and that's just an intro leading us into Any Love with My Son, and this has a slick, functified sample. And it's essentially one of those Where's the Love records. They are analyzing some societal ills, reflecting on politics, and just some of the evils of the hip-hop game. And I'd say it's one of the stronger beats to wrap things up. But then we officially close out on a very strong note with the Yard Father Part 2 Gunsmoke outro. And this has a darker, cinematic, piano-driven beat that made it one of the hardest. Now, he's explaining his absence from the rap game, his responsibilities as a parent, and he also said, I left the rap game in the hands of Hot Lana. I came back. Hardest dude is Saucy Santana. I've been told New York dudes abort them bandanas. So he's really trying to restore that New York pride here, and also maybe taking a shot or two at the West Coast in the process. So overall, I'm going to give this project a rating of 4 mics. It does feel like a return album or a comeback album, even though it's technically not. You may think Saigon hasn't been around for 25 years, but that was just more so commercially. Yeah, he's still been doing things in the underground since about 2020. On the production front, I feel Buckwild really laced Saigon with some of his more attractive beats in recent memory. In fact, I did like some of the instrumentals here a bit more than the ones Buckwild had for AZ a couple years back. Now, Saigon has matured a lot as an artist since he started, although he always did find some time to speak on some deeper things aside from the gangster imagery. And we did get more of the mature, conceptual Saigon a lot on this album. Perhaps one could say maybe he hammered some of the themes into the ground. I did like the positivity a lot, but there were tracks that had a similar Save the Youth, What's Wrong with the Culture theme, and that perhaps got a little repetitive. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on those themes at all. I just think that perhaps he could have condensed some of those ideas down into one or two less tracks. But altogether, this is a solid, dope project where his hunger and his urgency is demonstrated. I mean, this project is oozing in that 2000s nostalgia, but it still sounds fresh. And at the end of the day, it was good to hear Saigon back, focused, and the beats from Buckwild didn't disappoint and just demonstrate how underrated he still is as a producer. Great. Buckwild and Saigon, double the dosage of dope. Favorite tracks include Yardfather Part 1, Right Back, Hear Me Now, Who's for the Young, No Witness, 2000, Now Crowd Go Wild, Toxic Love Story, Dying Never Goes Out of Style, and Yardfather Talk Part 2. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtapemaf. I'm signing out, but as always, it's peace and blessings. Saigon, Buckwild, paint the world black.